Zevachim, Tractate Zevachim, page 37b, top of the page, with the words Limed al Bechor Balmum Shenitan LaKohen Shelo Matzinu Lo Bechol HaTorah Kula. This verse teaches that a blemished firstborn is given to a priest as a gift and that he may eat its meat. This is a novel concept, as we have not found in the entire Torah another halacha similar to it, where a blemished offering is given to the priests for consumption. The Gemara asks, and according to Rabbi Ishmael, who interprets this verse differently, from where does he derive this halacha that a blemished firstborn is given to a priest? The Gemara answers, he derives it from the phrase, as the breast of waving and as the right thigh it shall be yours. Numbers 18:18, which is the latter clause of that same verse. The repetition of the verse of the phrase shall be yours serves to teach that even the meat of a blemished firstborn shall be eaten by the priest. The Gemara raises another question. Granted, according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehoshua, who interprets the verse as referring also to the animal tithe offering and a paschal offering, this is as it is written in the same verse, you shall not redeem, they are sacred. Numbers 18:17. The word they indicates that only they are sacrificed on the altar, but their substitutes are not sacrificed. In general, if one substitutes a non-sacred animal for one designated as an offering, both the original and the substitute are considered to be consecrated, and they are therefore sacrificed. But if one substitutes a non-sacred animal for a firstborn, the animal tithe offering, or a paschal offering, the substitute is not sacrificed. It's not. Timuras bechor u'maser hein uvladan uvlad veladan ad sof kol ha'olam. Harei hen ki bechor u'maser yochlu b'muman liba'alim. This is, as we learned in the Mishnah, Temurah 21a, with regard to the substitute of a firstborn and of an animal tithe offering, both they, the substitutes themselves, and their offspring, and the offspring of their offspring forever, meaning for all the future generations, are as the firstborn and the animal tithe offering respectively, and therefore they are eaten in their blemished state by the owners. But unlike the firstborn and the animal tithe offering themselves, they are not sacrificed on the altar. Utinan, Rabbi Yehoshua, Shemati shetemuras Pesach kreva, utemuras Pesach en kreva ve'en li lefaresh. And likewise, with regard to the substitute of a paschal offering, we learned in the Mishnah, Zevachim 96b, that Rabbi Yehoshua says, I have heard two rulings from my teachers. One ruling was that the substitute of a paschal offering is sacrificed as a peace offering after Passover. And another ruling was that the substitute of a paschal offering is not offered as a peace offering after Passover, and I cannot explain these apparently contradictory rulings, as I do not remember the circumstances to which each ruling applies. And as will be explained, if the substitution took place after the sacrifice of the paschal offering, the animal is sacrificed, as it is considered the substitute of a peace offering. Whereas if the substitution occurred before the sacrifice of the paschal offering, it is not sacrificed, as it is the substitute of a paschal offering. This indicates that the substitute of a paschal offering is not sacrificed, just like the substitute of a firstborn is not sacrificed. אלא לרבי ישמעאל מוגלה כולי בבחל מעשר פסח דרכם ותמונה מנהלה מעשר גמר עברה בבחל. But according to the opinion of Rabbi Ishmael, who interprets the entire verse as dealing with the firstborn, from where does he derive the halacha that the substitute of an animal tithe offering and of a paschal offering are not sacrificed? The Gemara answers with regard to an animal tithe offering, he derives this by means of a verbal analogy between the terms passing and passing, written with regard to a firstborn. Concerning a firstborn, it is said, you shall pass, Hevarta, to the Lord all that opens the womb, Exodus 13:12. And concerning an animal tithe, as stated, of whatever passes, Ya'avor, under the rod, Leviticus 27:32. From this verbal analogy, it may be derived that just as the substitute of a firstborn is not sacrificed, so too the substitute of an animal tithe offering is not sacrificed. Pesach, בהדיא כתיב בכסף, מה תמר לומר? אם כסף לרבוס תמורס הפסח, אחר הפסח. שתקרב שלום אם יאכל אף לפני הפסח כן, תמר לומר הוא. With regard to the paschal offering, this halacha is not derived through a verbal analogy, but rather this halacha is explicitly written concerning it. The verse referring to peace offerings states, if he offers a lamb for his offering, Leviticus 3:7, the Torah could simply have stated a lamb and proceed from there to teach the halachot of a lamb, peace offering. If so, what is the meaning when the verse states, if he offers a lamb? This serves to include the substitute of paschal offering that was substituted after the sacrifice of the paschal offering, teaching that it is sacrificed as a peace offering, since the paschal offering has the status of a peace offering at that time. One might have thought that even before the sacrifice of the paschal offering, the same should apply, meaning that the substitute of a paschal offering is sacrificed as a peace offering. Therefore, the verse states, with regard to the paschal offering, it is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, Exodus 12:27, which indicates that the paschal offering itself, is sacrificed, but its substitute is not sacrificed. Okay. וכל הלכתני למאבק לילה, היי דם זבחך ישפך לדבר שכינה, היי כל הנתונים, על מזבח החיצון, שנוסון על מתנה אחת שכיפר מנהלהו, סביר אלוהו כבית הלל, תאמרי הפחתוס שנוסנה, מתנה אחת כיפר, ואלפינן כולו בחדש. The Gemara asks, and as for all those Tanaim who derive a different exposition from this verse, and the blood of your offerings shall be poured, in Deuteronomy 12:27, this halacha that is recorded in the Mishnah, that with regard to all the offerings whose blood is to be placed on the external altar, in a case where the priest placed the blood on the altar with one placement, he facilitated atonement. From where do they derive this? The Gemara answers, the Tanaim hold in accordance with the opinion of Beit Hillel, who say, even with regard to a sin offering, in the case where the priest placed the blood with one placement, he facilitated atonement after the fact. And they derive the halacha applying to all the other offerings from that which applies to a sin offering. The Mishnah teaches that Beit Shammai maintain that in the case of a sin offering which requires 4 placements, at least 2 placements are necessary to facilitate atonement, whereas Beit Hillel hold that even in the case of a sin offering, 1 placement suffices. Rav Huna said, what is the reasoning for the opinion of Beit Shammai? Karnos. He explains, the verse states, and the priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it upon the corners of the altar. Leviticus 4:25. Subsequently, the verse states, the priest shall take of his blood with his finger and put it on the corners of the altar. Leviticus 4:30. And an additional verse states, the priest shall take the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it on the corners of the altar. Leviticus 4:34. As the minimum amount justifying the use of the plural form in the word corners, it is 2. One may conclude that there are 6 references to the corners of the altar here. 4 of them are mentioned for a mitzvah, meaning that the priest should place the blood on all 4 corners of the altar ab initio, which means lechatchila, and the other 2 are mentioned to invalidate the offering if he did not present the blood on at least 2 corners. The Gemara asks, and what is the reasoning for the opinion of Beit Hillel? The Gemara answers, the matter should be understood according to the written consonantal text, meaning the way in which the words are actually spelled. The word corners is written plain with a vav in one of the verses, which means that it must be read in the plural form, meaning as karnat. Therefore, let's see here. The word corners is written plain or plen, meaning with a vav, in one of the verses, which means that it must be read in the plural form. In the other 2 cases, corners are written division, meaning without a vav, in a way that can be vocalized in the singular form, meaning as karnat. Therefore, there are 4 references to corners here. 3 of these references are written to indicate the placements of blood and performed only as a mitzvah, meaning they are performed ab initio, and remaining 1 is written to indicate that its absence invalidates the offering, meaning the offering is not valid if the blood was not placed against at least 1 corner of the altar. The Gemara asks, but according to his explanation of Beit Hillel, according to this explanation of Beit Hillel, why not say that all of them are written for the mitzvah and none are to invalidate, meaning that the blood must be presented on all 4 corners ab initio, but the offering atones after the fact, even if the blood was not presented at all. The Gemara rejects this possibility. We have not found anywhere in the Torah an example of an offering in which atonement can be achieved with no placement of the blood. And if you wish, say instead that this is the reason of Beit Hillel, the vocalized text of the Torah, which means the way in which the words of the Torah are pronounced based on the tradition of what vowels the words contain, is effective in determining how the verses are to be expounded. And likewise, the consonantal text of the Torah, meaning the way in which the words are actually written, it is also effective in determining how the verses are to be expounded. The Gemara elaborates, the vocalized text is effective in adding one more corner of, and the consonantal text is effective in subtracting one corner. Consequently, the verse is interpreted as referring to 5 corners, 4 of which are necessary for the mitzvah ab initio, and 1 of which is indispensable after the fact. The Gemara asks, but if that is so, that this is the proper manner of expounding the verses, consider the case of the phylacteries of the head, about which it is stated, and 4 frontlets to the foot between your eyes. And 4 front, not 4, but and 4 front, and 2, like that. And 4 frontlets between your eyes. Exodus 13:16, and they shall be 4 frontlets to the foot between your eyes. Deuteronomy 6:8, and subsequently they shall be 4 frontlets between your eyes. Deuteronomy 11:18. The word totafot is written once in plan form, meaning with a vav, indicating the plural form, and twice in a deficient form, meaning without a vav, indicating the singular. Accordingly, there are 4 frontlets here, and from here the sages derive that the phylacteries of the head consist of 4 compartments, which together form a cube. Why not say that the vocalized text read in the plural is effective, meaning that it requires 6 compartments, and likewise the consonantal text read in the singular is effective, meaning it requires 4 compartments, and therefore one should be required to prepare 5 compartments in the phylacteries of the head. Similarly, Rabbi Akiva, he holds like Rabbi Akiva, Jamar Tat, Bechatfi Shtaim, Pat, Be'afriki Shtaim. The Gemara answers that Beit Hillel holds according to the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, who says that the requirement to have 4 compartments in the phylacteries of the head is not derived from the number of times the word totafot is mentioned, but rather from an exposition of the word totafot itself. Tat in the Kapti language means 2, and Pat in the Afriki language means 2. For a total of 4. Elamiato Besuko Zahani Mikravehani Mesoires. The Gemara raises another objection to this method of exposition. If that is so, consider the case of the Sukkah, about which it is stated in Sukkot, you shall reside 7 days, all that are homeborn in Israel shall reside in Sukkot, so that your future generations will know that I caused the children of Israel to reside in Sukkot. When I took them out of the land of Egypt, I am the Lord your God. Leviticus 23, 42 and 43. These 2 instances of the word basukot are written in a deficient manner, meaning without a vav, indicating the singular, and 1 instance is written in plan form, meaning with a vav, indicating the plural form. The sages derived from here that a sukkah must have 4 walls. Why not say that the vocalized text read in the plural is effective, requiring 6 walls, and likewise the consonantal text read in the singular is effective, requiring 4 walls, and therefore one should be required to build a sukkah with 5 walls?